Jethro Tull, Minstrel in the Gallery. As 1974 drew to a close, Ian Anderson and Jethro Tull could reflect back on a great year for the band. They had come back successfully from all the negativity that had surrounded a Passion Play. They'd released an album, Warchild, that shock horror had been given some good reviews in the music press, even managing to have a hit single in the USA with Bungle in the Jungle. The tour to promote Warchild had been a critical and commercial success, with the band delivering one superb performance after another, and fans flocked in their droves to see the man in a codpiece playing the flute while standing on one leg. Ian Anderson. I left England on December the 12th, 1974, when everyone was getting ready for Christmas, and I went away because I wanted to be on my own. I rented a house in another country and stayed there alone for a month, and that's when I wrote most of the music for Minstrel in the Gallery. They're the kind of songs you sing when you wake up in the morning. Songs of the last year, waking up in the morning, because that's all an album ever is. I write most of the things when I'm on the road actually, so it's unusual for me to go away and write specifically. It's harder to go somewhere and write specifically because it's much more of a self-conscious sort of effort. I prefer writing on the road. Then Tull, after a week of rehearsals, began on the 17th of January 1975 what Circus magazine reported as one of the biggest American tours of the year. That tour went from the 17th of January to the 13th of March 1975, including 5 sell-out nights at the Forum, Los Angeles, where the band played to a combined audience of almost 100,000 people. Sounds magazine, February 1975. Jethro Tull is presently taking every concert dollar in America that hasn't been spent on Led Zeppelin. When the first leg of their American tour finished, the band then toured Europe from April 75 to July 1975, taking a 7-week break in the middle to rehearse, record and mix Minstrel in the Gallery. Then from July to November, they continued that massive tour of the USA. That year, 1975, they played almost 129 gigs and pretty much broke box office records wherever they went. Minstrel in the Gallery hit UK record shops on the 5th of September and in the USA 3 days later. It turned out to be one of the band's finest and an album, in my opinion, that just seems to get better and better with each passing year. So let's take an in-depth look at that album. Track 1, Minstrel in the Gallery. Ian, for a while now, with the codpiece, the tights, had come across as some wandering minstrel from the medieval times, the Middle Ages. Here he uses the imagery of a minstrel in the gallery, the rock star on the stage, looking down at the audience. Humanity, observing them, quietly mocking, poking fun, but trying to understand them. The minstrel in the gallery looked down on everyone. He threw away his looking glass and saw his face in everyone. Not looking at that reflection in a dressing room mirror, and that's all you see. Throwing that away, looking at the audience and realising we're all the same, just humans bumbling along, trying to find our way. The song is masterfully constructed, with Ian singing the whole song right the way through, just accompanied by acoustic guitar, flute and a little percussion. But then at 2 minutes 17 seconds, all change. Martin Barre and the rest of the band explode onto centre stage with a short, powerful instrumental. This instrumental had been part of Martin's live solo spot a few years back. Martin and the band would use it to lead into Martin's solo guitar pyrotechnics. 3 minutes 58 seconds, everyone drops out except Hammond on bass and Barry Barlow's drums, and the stage is set for Martin to enter with that iconic guitar riff. Ian then sings the whole song again, but this time with the added punctuation of one of the greatest rock bands ever in full swing. Barry Barlow on drums, Martin Barr with some biting guitar playing, John Evan on organ, Ian on flute dipping in and out of the riff, and the legend himself, Jeffrey Hammond, just powering that song along on bass. Martin Barr. It's a riff that sits in a place where you wouldn't normally write a riff. It sits in an unusual place in the bar, which makes it unique. Jeffrey Hammond, he goes on to say, didn't quite understand the riff. He didn't quite get the beat. So what we did was tape a drumstick to his shoe and made him tap that drumstick with his foot as we were playing the riff. Well, it certainly worked a treat. When I saw the band in Paris of July 1975, it was Jeffrey that drove that song forward. Track 2, A Cold Wind to Valhalla. Ian Anderson. It's all about why there aren't many heroes left. Valhalla was the place where all the Norse heroes went when they died. I just explain some of that in words and imagery, but then go on to say that there aren't many of them left up there these days. I mean, I would have dearly loved to have gone to the moon. I can conceive of no finer thing than to have actually been the first guy off the planet. I think that would have been most enlightening. But maybe Neil Armstrong thinks the same about what I do. Maybe he wants to write a song and get up there on stage at Madison Square Garden and sing it. There aren't many people like Neil Armstrong left, but there's a lot of them like me. Track 3, Black Satin Dancer. Ian Anderson says it's a girl's song. It's just a song recognising sensuality. It's the type of song Led Zeppelin would write if they could write lyrics. Except in fairness to Zepp, they would have had a much better riff and it would have been heavier. With my lyrics and Led Zeppelin's music, we might arrive at something halfway there. Take a listen to the opening 2 minutes of Black Satin Dancer. Anderson's voice was probably at its peak back then. You have Dee Palmer's masterful orchestral arrangements, while the rest of the band add beautiful touches of light and shade. It's magical and stunning. Then, for the next 4 minutes, Tull take us on one of those thrilling musical roller coasters the band was so good at back then, before returning to the stately beginnings of the song to finish the piece, with Ian gently asking the Black Satin Dancer to come softly to bed. If the band had played this live, I think it would have been incredible. But strangely, Tull only ever played the title track from the album and maybe Requiem a couple of times, which is kind of strange. It has so many great songs on it. Minstrel in the Gallery actually reached number 7 in the USA, but surely it would have attained a much higher position with the songs played live, especially with all those American dates. Track 4, Requiem. This originally began as a much longer piece with more verses, but Ian felt it began to ramble on a bit and only used the first and the last verses. Ian Anderson. Originally, Requiem was a piano song and it just didn't work. It has a particular progression in there which is a sort of Bach-like thing played on organ or piano. It has a descending bass line. It was very cold, it wasn't right. It meant doing a backing track and me singing afterwards, and it all got out of hand. When the girls arrived to do the string parts for the album, I said, well, since we've done an arrangement for them, we might as well have another crack at it, and I'll do it just once. One take, just me playing the guitar and singing. Either it'll work or it won't. So the next day I went in, red light on, rolled the tape and bang, that was it. It was a one-off thing and it came out sounding more the way it should. One white duck, 0 to the power of 10 equals nothing at all. In the UK in the 1960s, the 1970s, people would put 3 plaster ducks on the wall for decoration. There was a small one, there was one middle-sized, and there was a larger one. They were ghastly. I hated them. One white duck on your wall, one duck left, meant separation. A marriage relationship breaking down. To me, the two songs that make up this piece are two views of the same story. The first part, the one white duck, is the singer leaving on a journey. The motorway stretches right out to us all. Still, he views his relationship with fondness, even though it's failing, and separation is inevitable. One white duck on your wall, isn't it just too damn real? Part 2, he's now looking at that relationship with a far more cynical air. And also he's about to have a clandestine encounter. The long restless rustle of higher heeled boots call. He berates himself. Something must be wrong with me and my brain if I'm so patently unrewarding. He's willing to talk. Available for consultation. But he's up to his deaf ears in cold breakfast trays to be cleared up before I can dine on your sweet Sunday lunch confusion. He's busy, he's on the road, but we'll meet up for Sunday lunch. But he expects no resolve. They are too far apart. His 0 to her power of 10 equals nothing at all. Again, I'm amazed that Ian didn't play this live. A little acoustic interlude with Ian and Martin playing acoustic guitars would have brought the house down. Baker Street Muse. Around 1974 through 1975, I worked in London's West End, quite close to Tull's record company Chrysalis. I'd often pop in for a cup of tea and try and blag some promo pictures of the group. Ian Anderson had for many years included areas of London into his songs: Hampstead, Highgate, Kentish Town and Baker Street. Here on Baker Street Muse, he constructs a mini rock opera about London's West End. And you know what? He perfectly captures the feel of the place back then. The match sellers, the newsstands with their endless headlines, the mini-skirted princesses, the typing pools, the Indian restaurants, London's underground, and of course the underbelly, the seedy bits, the seedy bars, the strip shows, the painted ladies in the back streets, the homeless, the unseen. The crash barrier waltzer section where Ian tries to help an old homeless lady. Oh Mr. Policeman, blue shirt ballymaster, feet in sticking plaster, move the old lady on. Strange pas de deux, he's Romeo to her Juliet, her sleeping draught, his poison regret. No drunken bums allowed to sleep here in the crowded emptiness. Oh officer, let me send her to a cheap hotel. I'll pay the bill and I'll make her well. Like hell you bloody will. No do-good overkill. We must teach them to be still more independent. Whenever I listen to this piece, I always feel in my heart that Ian did, in fact, help that old lady. Then the Baker Street Muse, Ian, reflects back on what he's seen. And it seems there's nobody left for tennis, and I'm a one-band man, and I want no top 20 funeral or 100 grand. There was a little boy stood on a burning log, rubbing his hands with glee. He said, "Oh Mother England, did you like my smile, or did you like this fire under me? One day I'll be a minstrel in the gallery, and I'll paint you a picture of the Queen. And if sometimes I sing to a cynical degree, it's just the nonsense that it seems." Musically, the band navigate what I call the Tull twists and turns quite superbly. Nothing sounds clunky, nothing sounds out of place. As an extended piece of music, it's right up there with Thick as a Brick, Passion Play, Budapest, etc. It's just magnificent. The album then comes down a notch and finishes with the 39 stately seconds of grace. Hello sun, hello bird, hello my lady, hello breakfast. May I buy you again tomorrow. So in my opinion, it's a wonderful record. Great songs, great playing, great production. Yeah, great playing from all the band. John Evan on keyboards, Martin Barr on guitars, Barry Barlow on drums, Jeffrey on bass, and of course Ian on flute, acoustic guitar and vocals. But I'll leave almost the last word to Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone, November 1975, and their review of Minstrel in the Gallery. Chances are most of you have long since forgotten the notion of Elizabethan boogie as an art form. Well, it's revived here on Minstrel in the Gallery, Jethro Tull's latest concept as afterthought entry in the fall record sweepstakes. The fact that Ian Anderson and the lads have once again plundered the British secular music tradition signifies little and delivers less. Anderson, still holding on to a self-consciously bizarre musical stance, has difficulty maintaining the centre of attention with his mannered vocals, irrepressible flute and acoustic guitar. And although accompanied only by his guitar, he introduces each hauntingly familiar refrain as a ballad, aided by intimate spoken intros and incidental studio background noises. The tunes are soon deluged by a wash of lugubrious string passages and the anachronisms of Jeffrey Hammond's mechanical bass lines and Martin Barr's hysterical electric guitar montages. In addition, contrary to the LP's basic concept, the lyrics are instantly forgettable. In keeping with the times, Tull does get points for technical competence. Still, despite the diligence to which these gents execute the often cliched arrangements, the most soulful moment on the album is a line from Baker Street Mews, sung in passing by Anderson as he leaves the studio. Finding the door locked, he screams, "I can't get out." That's roughly the same feeling that this listener got about midway through side 1. Well, Ian did sing on the album the line, "I have no time for Rolling Stone." And I guess he was right. Thank you for listening. Please like the video, leave a comment, and of course, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps us grow and move forward. But most of all, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.